To what extent was ethanol a driving factor behind prohibition in the United States, and how much historical evidence supports this claim? While the temperance movement, religious activism, and social reform efforts are widely recognized as the primary causes of prohibition, some have argued that the economic interests, particularly those connected to the emerging petroleum industry, played a significant role in suppressing ethanol as a competing fuel source. Is there credible evidence to support this interpretation? Or is it more accurately characterized as a conspiracy theory? Okay, so first things first. What is ethanol, I hear you ask? In simple terms, ethanol, also called ethyl alcohol, is a colorless liquid fuel derived from the sugars or starches of crops, such as corn, sugarcane, wheat, barley, rice, or sugar beets. When grown, these plants absorb CO2. When used as a fuel, the ethanol emits CO2, which means the net CO2 effect can be smaller than using fossil gasoline. Blending or using ethanol in engines can reduce emissions of carbon monoxide and other pollutants under the right conditions. However, to achieve optimal results, the engine must be compatible, and one must factor in the full production to use the life cycle of the fuel. When we talk about alcohol, we usually mean drinks like wine or whiskey, and indeed those beverages make us drunk because of their ethanol content. But alcohol fuel has a long history in the US as well. As far back as the 1830s, purified alcohol, or ethanol, and blends including alcohol were used to light lamps, replacing increasingly expensive whale oil. By the mid-19th century, many distilleries produced millions of gallons of alcohol for lighting purposes. Ethanol or other alcohols also found early use in farm machinery and in internal combustion engines. Unlike liquid petroleum fuels, alcohol is biodegradable and can be derived from crops, giving it certain environmental advantages. Henry Ford's early automotive work reflected his interest in alternative fuels. His first vehicle, the quadricycle, which he built in 1896, used an engine that reportedly ran on ethanol. When he introduced the Model T in 1908, Ford claimed the car could operate on gasoline or ethanol, or a mixture, and he publicly spoke of ethanol as the fuel of the future. In the early 1900s, the US Geological Survey claimed that, in regard to general cleanliness, such absence of smoke and disagreeable odors, alcohol has many advantages over gasoline or kerosene as a fuel. The exhaust from an alcohol engine is never clouded with a black or greyish smoke. The inventor Alexander Graham Bell also said, "Alcohol makes a beautiful, clean and efficient fuel," before pointing out, "We need never fear the exhaustion of our present fuel supplies so long as we can produce an annual crop of alcohol to any extent desired." The message was clear. Alcohol was a better fuel than gasoline. Okay, so for those who don't know, now I need to explain what Prohibition was. So Prohibition refers to the era from 1920 to 1933, when the manufacture, sale, transportation, and importation of alcoholic beverages became illegal in the United States under the 18th Amendment and the Volstead Act. The movement to ban alcohol was strongly supported by temperance and religious groups, especially evangelical Protestant organizations, who believed that alcohol consumption undermined family stability, worker productivity, and social morality. They argued that drinking fostered crime, political corruption, and domestic violence, particularly among working-class communities. The pressure exerted by these temperance groups and their growing influence in local, state, and national politics was a principal cause of the adoption of national prohibition. And there is a widely circulated claim that John D. Rockefeller was the mastermind behind Prohibition in order to fulfill his own nefarious means. So who was John D. Rockefeller? John D. Rockefeller was the richest man in America and the world's first billionaire and the founder of Standard Oil. Standard Oil held the monopoly on the petroleum industry in America. Rockefeller and his wife were devout Baptists who practiced temperance themselves and supported the idea of prohibition. I should also point out that Rockefeller wasn't the only businessman who wanted prohibition. Many other businessmen at the time did, believing that making alcohol consumption illegal would make for a better workforce. Some commentators believe that Rockefeller's support for prohibition was driven not only by his teetotalism, but also by a strategic business motive, eliminating ethanol as a fuel competitor to the gasoline produced by his company, Standard Oil. Others argue that Rockefeller's primary motive remained moral and religious, that his participation in the temperance movement arose from genuine belief in alcohol's social harms, and any effect on ethanol fuel was a byproduct rather than the goal. In short, while Rockefeller's role in the temperance movement is well documented, the claim that he masterminded prohibition to protect his oil monopoly remains plausible but unproven. But it is also worth noting that with alcohol illegal, there was no reason to continue to build engines that were compatible with both ethanol and gasoline. Thank you for watching History in the Making. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. And be sure to also check out our channel on YouTube.